relate to. So if you look at the movement, he says Moorish divine and national movement. So you recognize that there's two pillars that make up the one movement. You got a divine aspect and a national aspect. You need to know both of them to make that balance. But I'm going to read the prophet's warning to the nations. And in that, I'm also going to take a moment here to interject and show you certain functions that are taking place. This is not a condemnation nor a defense of anyone, but simply to show you what Drew Ali said. Then a lot of people who know the truth about law and government, many of them have been told that Noble Drew Ali didn't set certain things up for you. Oh, that we're wiser than him because we're doing certain things. Well, he set this stuff up from day one. And I want to show you what it is and where it is, and I'm going to show you also why C.M. Bay set up what he did to counter the traitors in this movement. All right, here we go. Now, please listen to every word. Take the opportunity later to cross-reference this and analyze what Noble Drew Ali is saying to us all. And remember, if you really want to know about Noble Drew Ali, why don't you go ask him? Anyone knows that any PhD across the planet, that if you want to know about him, you meet his literature first. And he was also called Professor Drew, in case anyone didn't know. All right? This is page 5, and I want everyone to see that. This is where it begins, of the Moorish literature. It will be hard to get from people who have been suppressing the Prophet's movement. However, go on the internet, go get with some other Moors that are really doing the Prophet's work and communicating this information to the ignorant for their instruction, and I'm sure you'll pick up some interesting points. A divine warning by the Prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Period. I'm going slow because I want you to really absorb this because this is very revealing. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens are or care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitution laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. Now that's the first paragraph. You were just revealed of what that great sin that Drew Ali came to redeem you from. What is that great sin? To violate your national constitution. Is he talking about the divine constitution in the Moorish Science Temple? He's talking about your national constitution. Now let me go to the next paragraph. Absorb this. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and to go back to that state of mind, to their forefathers, divine and national principles as government, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens. Does that sound like religion to you? Did he say that's your divine right? All right, let's follow this. According to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. Is that clear? Now, who amongst the groups of Moors are communicating with the government in which they live on national principles of constitutional law? Then you know who's supporting the Prophet's program. That's Great Seal activity right there. And anyone that disputes that is disputing the Prophet himself. That's very clear. It doesn't mean they're all doing right either. But I'm setting the law back in your hand because the Prophet already gave it to you. But that's why that's not emphasized to you. Now, they are to claim their own free national name and religion. Now you understand the name reclamation papers that's sent to the government, the head of government. What is the head of the national government? It's Washington, D.C. Now you understand that process? Your free national name. Now what are you going to do with that free national name? Is your free national name Freddie Smith -Bay? However, when you come into the movement, a purging process begins. However, when you become yourself, see, because you're being taught to be yourself, but when you become yourself, you're supposed to be yourself. And when you are yourself, you're supposed to live the life accordingly and fess up to that free national constitution and cast a ballot as a free national being and take your land back that already belongs here. Because all they have is control of the land. But you are the true possessors of the land. However, this is set up so that it can be done. However, if you don't want to unite, if we want to play these division games, we suffer. However, it makes it worse because you know better. See, the ignorance is bliss. But you know, and you've been given the keys, and we're still blowing it. But we're only blowing it because there's a few opportunists amongst us, you understand? And then we're not giving the information to the masses to free them because everybody wants to play this chief game. Get it? See, so they figure they keep them ignorant of what the Prophet really said. Then as soon as they see somebody doing any civic activity, they say, well, don't do that. You're supposed to only pray. Go over there in the corner and pray. Meanwhile, their babies are dying in the street. They've been collecting bus funds in many of these temples for years. Babies that grew up and had babies, and mothers still can't get to the temples on these buses they've been paying for. Less more some school, and the Prophet said every temple must have a school. Just like Brother Ibrahim said, you know, the temple has a function, and you must understand its structure. But the school's supposed to take care of the rest of it. Well, that's why the funds is being collected for your domestic affairs. Excuse my bumpiness. You understand that? And every penny must be accounted for. And I'm going to complete this. Remember, this is just 2 pages here. And this second page is not complete. But in this is embodied the program. Also, other warnings. Now let's look and let's consider this. Consider what you've seen. Consider what you run into. And then consider your affairs when you deal with anybody concerning this movement, because this is your gauge. If you want to have a tool to gauge the movement, just like Brother Raheem said, we need to protect our temples. But how do you know who is upholding the Prophet's program? Not who you like and who you don't like. You judge it by principles that have been laid down. They're very clear. If you're a carpenter, I'm a carpenter, I build. If I got to repair this wall and repair the ceiling, all right, that's an I-beam. I'm going to look for standards according to the dimension of the lumber, according to the type of structure where you got A-frames, flat roof, etc. Generally, I'm going to look for them main members to be spaced 16 inches on center. If I build a truss system, I may go to 18 to 2 feet. However, those are principles that are universal. Another contractor can come behind me and look for that. Same way, if we run in juice, exposed wires, that's BX. Because it's exposed. I might use Romex, but that's going to be behind the wall. Those are principles, and they're universal. So remember this. When the principles stop being looking for the lie. So you want to understand Prophet Noble Drew Ali's program? Don't ask me. I studied. Ask yourself. But how? Read what the prophet said. Because he already told you. What happens is people get in positions of power and authority and divert your attention from this, or downplay it, and you get all smoked up in something else, and before you know it, you following them, not the prophet. That's how they work this thing. And that's why I chose this to read this to you tonight. Please absorb it. I trust and I wish, because we talked earlier this week, and I wanted to get this copied and blow it up so I could share it with you, but I suggest you get with someone who has it and review it. And I'm going to continue this. Look how powerful this is. There is but one issue. You hear that? There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth. Isn't that plural? Is that confined or is that going out? To be recognized by this government and of the earth. That's your affairs out there. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated into this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. Are you with me? And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights, and divine is capitalized. He's letting you know that your divine rights are incorporated into your civil activities with this government and of the earth in your Moorish affairs. Take your place among the affairs of man. That is, a divine constitution is based on ancient law, and all other nations use it as a guide. The Europeans didn't set that up. Moors set that up with 20 European sons, 35 Muslims, and 20 Muslim sons, which is a Masonic code for Europeans who have accepted the Moorish way. And the reason why the United States Republic that you know was set up as a governmental principle and a governmental system was to stop a cycle of wars that have been going on for centuries. And it is the experiment of the implementation of the ancient Moabite law for isonomy, or equal justice and equal principles applied to all members of society, which makes this the unique government that it is, why you got those two seals on that dollar bill as one. Why this is also called the great melting pot. And the great potential of this great nation lies in the law. And the law has been placed back into your hands, and you better do something with it if you're wise. And you better unite while you're doing it. Let us continue. So first, understand, what did he do? He not only connected you with the land through your literature and through your questionnaire, he just connected you back to your government, didn't he? Isn't that his instruction? Now, you're wondering what you're going to do with that. Let's go on. Now, and through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, so there's an inclusionary there, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government, and not under a granted privilege as has been the existing condition for many generations. That's that 14th Amendment Negro person made in the 14th and 15th Amendment, that artificial person that people are fighting with the UCCs. It was already done right here. Already cleaned up. Now, and through it, we're talking about the movement. Through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under